Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and others. Welcome to Mass Effect Revolution Season 2. This is the vlog number 11.
Oh man, I say that every single vlog, but a lot of things have happened this session.
Screw you, gimmick. This is the only time I've ever been so angry at gimmick.
So the in Gimmick's defense, I don't know if this is really a defense, but thanks to him making that information trade, the whole Solaric having that stasis capsule in his possession was not meant to be revealed to you until you actually went to Ilium and went to Binary Helix's lab. That was when I originally planned for you to get all of that information for that reveal to happen. However, because Gimmick decided to share some really juicy information to Shias, I thought it was fair to provide you with this information early. So you got to have that ahead of time before even going into Binary Helix. So that might change things a bit, or might even change the order that you go to things. I don't know if you're still going straight to Ilium or if you're making a pit stop at the Citadel first. I don't know.
Yeah, pit stop
I
at
have
the
no
president.
idea.
Who knows?
Is it?
Oh,
We lost him.
freeze. Sorry.
What a great frame, though.
That's assuming that Gimmick is able to let you guys know without letting you know that he knows what he knows.
Yeah.
I already have an idea.
How do I know that they know, but we don't know that I know that he knows?
Is it weird, though, that at the end of the day, I would have preferred Gimmick keep his word to the group? Is that weird?
I don't
No.
know. It would have made like a crazy reveal.
Yeah. Like, I honestly don't think it'll change much in the end game, other than, you know, Vito and Solaric have a discussion about this thing. Maybe. That's it, really.
Yeah.
Also, Galush, the Galush guy, he's Vito's headmaster.
Oh, yeah. the
Jalon
teacher.
Laral?
Yeah, teacher.
Yeah. Well, teacher's assistant. Jalon Laral was his expedition lead back on Tuchanka.
shit.
Was one of the survivors of Vito's slightly disastrous first dig.
Yeah, him and Jules, I believe, were like
So
the
now
two
we know that
two-
Vito definitely
Yeah.
shouldn't be going to Binary Helix.
Oh, no, we definitely know he should be, because that way he can deal with all his demons. 100%.
True. Or those demons. Oh, and now we know me and Nathan have a death sentence on our heads.
Yeah. There's
Do you?
Pixie August.
Pixie
Also.
August.
Pixie
That was
August.
funny.
Well,
I
for
love
the
that.
record, I cannot take credit for that. That was all Mikey and Kiwi's machinations.
Yeah.
They came up with Pixie.
We're
character
very
itself-
awful people. We're very awful people.
The character
So.
itself existed earlier in Vito's profile, but is one thing I completely forgot to mention in the questionnaire earlier. So I was like, wait, why has there been no mention of Solaric's brother yet? And Hark was like, does he have a brother? I was like, oops. The whole pinup thing was a thing, but he didn't really have it. Like, it was supposed to be a past thing, but talking about it with Mikey, we kind of laughed about the idea of him having like a, foreign axe name and everything, and
Nathan being
Pixie
really into
August.
it for some
yeah,
reason.
Nathan being really into it.
Yeah.
Yep,
Nathan was ready to let the guy go to town on him.
Yep,
Type of-
sadly,
I mean-
he's not into you.
To be quite honest with you, Nathan stressed the hell out. So if Augie would have been all flirty and I would have went there, yeah, he wouldn't have said no. So
Wait, you have to take the vaccine for that illness you have.
it doesn't spread to Turians. Turians can't carry it. Only humans can carry it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't unless Nathan wants to go out and copulate with another human, it won't spread. So
Mhm.
But about the vaccine, that thing, I don't know. Is Nathan going to take it now or wait a bit till it's?
I mean, Nathan's got a lot of time ahead of him, and I don't know if he'll ever actually end up with another human. I don't know, because there's never really been an incident of him being with another human. So I don't know. Maybe like he probably won't take it right away because he's like, well, my body is what pays my bills. My athleticism, my talent on the court is what pays my bills. So I can't have some experimental cure for this thing that I took, too early affect that. So he's gonna have to wait and see how things develop from there.
Vito might take it. Since technically, it's probably been made with his DNA in the first place, so might be less of a bad thing. And anyway, it's not like he was planning on having biological children, because it's not like technically he can have any with Solaric. Though if Mama Duran wanted to push yet another mating contract at him, I don't think the answer would be any different. That would be a big no. But I mean, who knows? Yeah.
But about the side effects.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, at this point, Vito has had a fair share of side effects that he didn't know were supposed to be side effects in the first place. Thought was just, being a normal Solarian freaking out over the smallest little thing. Yeah. Maybe he should have taken the antidepressant list that his mom gave him.
Okay, so what are we gonna say with this new next question? Where the hell do all those biotics go?
Well,
Oh,
that's
God.
going to be answered in the future.
Yeah, but for right now, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
Like some black hole somewhere. I don't know.
Well,
Worst
genuinely.
comes to worst, Dia disappears and you guys have to go find her.
Or we just hire a new drag queen. We bring this cat on.
Screw you.
Yeah, we hire Mother Hen because we know she can kick ass. So we're like, hey, Mother Hen, you want to join us on this badass trip? You get paid and shit.
And who would replace Nathan if he is the one that goes away?
I don't think Nathan will. He did not suffer it as bad as Dia did.
Yes.
Well,
yeah. There's possibilities there.
Take in consideration that Dia is an adept, Nathan is a vanguard. Adept is more pure biotic than Nathan is.
Well, it seemed like they were trying to tell you something more than trying to take you away.
Me too.
Could be both.
I mean,
could very well be both, though.
If they wanted to take you away, why didn't they already take you away? I mean, why would they grab your shoulder and such? It's like, why would you grab someone's shoulder? Because you want to take their attention or something. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if they are the same thing.
And how come? Why was it Dia was the one who got the vision? I'm thinking it's because Dia is just the better biotic. But Dia got the vision of that girl, Blue Girl specifically. So I'm thinking new Lovecraftian Cthulhu hot mess Reaper bullshit thing is coming back.
I also wonder if I had rolled really well in Constitution, if it had been me who ended up in the dream, and you would have been the one experiencing all the phantom touchy and voices and stuff in the
The
I wonder if that had something to do with it, because before it all started happening, we had to roll con saves. So that's what I wonder too.
Oh yeah.
Can we ask Hark who would have had the vision depending on the con saves, or where were the con saves like about this?
So I can explain the con saves. So the con saves, the DC for Dia is higher than the DC for. Excuse me. The DC for Dia is higher than the DC for Nathan because
she's an adept.
Dia is an adept, and therefore it's harder for Dia to save against it. So both of them failed the save, but because Dia is an adept, she was more susceptible to whatever's happening. So Dia ended up getting the dream, and Nathan ended up getting the feelings of being grabbed. Had either of you saved successfully and beat the DCs, then nothing would have happened. You would not have experienced anything.
Weird.
I want to point something out because when Dia was sleeping, what wake her up was the noise of something scratching the door. So if it was like her that was outside the door, why wouldn't like she knock the door? Was that like her pets or something like that? Are they related to this thing? Also,
Wait, so you do think Dia was the one who got up in the middle of the night, started scratching her own door?
No, Amiya's Varen.
Oh.
That would make
because
sense.
at first I was like, oh, maybe because there are like dogs that are in Andromeda that make themselves invisible. So I was like, oh, maybe one of those came back with the crew of Andromeda or something. But then I was like, oh no, never mind. This is totally different.
Besides the obvious Amiya grabbing you and the scratching noises, do you think there's any meaning to the nightmares about the ship being completely empty, nobody being there? Do you think there's any meaning behind that at all?
For me, when I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking more along the lines of Dia is maybe because those whispers sound like from a variety of things, right? Different languages and all that. In Dia's mind, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's just those whispers are from all the people who've already disappeared. And the ship being empty is Dia somehow getting rid of the other people in the ship and making her way to wherever she's supposed to be.
Okay.
To be.
All right.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, that's an interesting interpretation. Yes.
I initially thought the touchy-feely stuff was either like, I don't know if there's such a thing as like a biotic ghost, like a force ghost sort of thing. But like it was David or Nathan's mom reaching out to him from like beyond the grave. That's what I thought it
I
was.
thought that too, honestly. I thought that too.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, David.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I thought it might have been. I thought it might have been somebody reaching out to David from beyond the grave. Because Nathan's mom was notorious for grabbing him from the shoulder because she just liked doing it to him. So
There you go.
she liked scaring him, so you know.
Well, on that topic, David, we could finally confirm if he's dead or alive.
we had already
Oh,
rolled,
no.
I think, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I recorded. I
Yeah.
actually recorded me rolling the 32%.
So
Oh,
we will
God.
know when the
I
session
can
comes on.
show you the. Well, I probably will not spoil it to the viewers, so I will show them when it becomes relevant what the role was.
Oh, when it becomes relevant, it's going to become relevant then?
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I know.
Eventually,
yeah, I mean,
it will.
eventually, unless you never talk about David again, then I
Well,
guess it'll never be relevant.
I was about to ask Shayas about that, but there was a lot of other things, and I didn't want to take a lot of time. But
That's fine. I don't know if Shayas would necessarily know that right off the top of her head, but
so like, that thing still haunts Gimmick because it gave its word and it was unable to accomplish it.
Did you see the flashback that I put in post after that session? Yes. I thought that was very.
No.
I realized just how relevant that thing was compared to like the events of last session. It was great.
That's when Gimmick snapped and got all renegade-y. That's why he got 5 renegade points today.
Nate, I think he got a total of 5 renegade points today. He got 3 from.
He snapped.
Yeah, you got 3 from going against the group's back and telling Shayas about Kasaj and the Angara, and I think you got another 2 for something else.
Can't remember what it was. Though.
Going back to
17 renegade points.
Going back to the whole Solaric thing in the stasis capsule, do you guys remember you asking me a question during the vlog about Javik?
Yeah.
You asked me, was Javik's capsule ever ever discovered? And I was like,
Oh,
I can't answer that question right now.
did Kiwi roll that time?
No,
I
I
did
think-
not.
I didn't ask Kiwi to roll at all.
So
Yeah,
Javik
because,
is literally
yeah.
in there. Fuck me.
Yeah, because
So-
Javik was never discovered,
Javik-
therefore he could never be on Shepard's crew. So This
Javik
could
was
be Javik.
technically in the Pix household the whole time.
We
Oh,
just didn't ask you.
well, maybe
it's
not,
inside.
'cause-
He's
I mean, we don't know,
Godfather.
maybe-
first.
He's in, according to Shias, he's in Solaric's possession. You don't know where it is. But apparently Solaric is in possession of a Prothean stasis capsule. So, hopefully now it makes sense why I couldn't answer that question about whether or not Javik was ever discovered by Shepard. Because that would
Yeah.
have spoiled this session.
Oh my.
That
Okay.
fancy table was his stasis capsule.
Mhm. Also, I'm gonna make Augie the hottest thing in the world.
You're also gonna ruin yourself doing that.
Me?
it's good to know that it's good to know that it wasn't just Nathan having fun with Augie. So
Come
you
on.
know,
but-
Jerry had
Augie
fun with
knows
him too, apparently.
Nikia's gonna use it for everything
So,
he has.
Okay.
Also,
know.
his producer.
yeah.
There's some
Agent.
there's cucumbers
Curate.
to slice,
Cute
damn
lady.
it.
So we have like 4 people on board, 4 people that we know of who've had fun with Augie. We have Zidreri, who has a lot of fun apparently for 2 hours with him. We have Nathan, we have his agent, and we have Dia. So
Well,
4
to be
people already.
fair, Nathan got rejected.
to be fair, I actually think that Nathan would have already known that because he was so obsessed with him when he was younger. So probably would have broke his heart when he was like 15 or 16 or 17. You know.
Oh yeah, I'm
So-
totally gonna initiate that next session. I just have to remember it.
Poor Augie.
We learned about why Stan escaped.
He was bored as fuck.
And
Yeah.
I was sitting here during one of our vlogs when Mikey called it, because Mikey actually said, you know what? You know why I think that Stan left? I think he was just bored. Like, he was being
Yeah.
like a teenager and angsty angst, and he just wanted to be like, I don't want to be here anymore, and he left. And I, honest to God, like, I already decided that was the reason long before Mikey brought it up. So he called it. I didn't like say, oh, that's a great idea. No, I already decided that was the reason why.
He decided he would
I
already
figured-
be an angst lord before
Right,
we
because
met
I
him, so.
figured it's such a trope that, you know, oh, these experiments, oh, of course they abused him and all that stuff. And I was like, no, what if I just turned that around? I was like, no, it wasn't that they abused him. He was just bored.
He
That's
just
the
really,
only
really
reason
wanted
he
something to
left.
do, and he was sick
He just
of
wanted
waiting.
something to do, and he was sick of waiting and turning him into a Prothean because apparently Solaric wasn't giving up the goods. If only Solaric gave up that stasis capsule, then he wouldn't have been bored, and he
But,
would have become a Prothean, and everything would have been great.
I
But
have
no.
a question.
Yep.
I have a question. You had said that Solaric being the curator of the Super Teen Museum of Natural History had been
Mhm.
retconned
I
since
did
they were
say
living
that.
on the Citadel, but you
I did say
never
that.
really explained whether Solaric was simply a sculptor or if he was working in a museum still.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
He's still working at the Natural History Museum. He works there, yes.
He's working at the Citadel
At the Natural History, yes. Mm-hmm.
Museum of Natural
Yes.
History. Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now
makes-
things are starting to click. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Also,
mean,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, to Soul's defense, he's just trying to make his husband proud, because I'm sure whenever they asked for this capsule, he kept saying, "It belongs in a museum." I'm sure that's what he said.
Yup.
You can't
And then
have
someone
him.
pops out of it. What the fuck?
This Prothean belongs in a museum.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really. They're not technically scientists. They're historians. They don't really know if someone's alive in there.
I mean, I'm just glad that Nathan didn't mention anything about Solaric having Nathan be top one living existing on his acceptable three-ways marriage three-way thing list.
I mean,
I'm glad
yeah,
Nathan did mention that.
I don't know if I mentioned that in the vlog, but technically Nathan is the only living / existing person on that list. Because in the top is all like Indiana Jones or like Jeff Goldblum's Ghost. It's all jokes, but Nathan Callahan.
And then Nathan is there, and he's just that one name sticking out, Nathan Callahan.
By the end of this this campaign, Nathan is going to have a trilingual marriage with Vito and Sloric.
Nathan's just going to be like, I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life and shoot himself into the sun because he's sick of everything.
Now we have someone else to ship everyone with.
Oh yeah.
Augie. Oh.
I want to.
No idea Augie would be so popular, but
Why do you think that Solaric has that capsule? Why would
me? Oh. Well, on a historian standpoint, I think he just like acquired it from collectors or probably from a friend of Vito that might be an archaeologist or something like that, which is a piece
he's
that
also a historian or he's not?
well, Solaric isn't a historian himself, but in my canon-ish thing in the questionnaire, Solaric is the curator of the Museum of Natural History on the Citadel. So,
and that's something you thought of, right?
Yeah,
Right?
That's something
Yeah, that wasn't something I thought of. I just saw that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can work with this.
Yeah, because they're both like history buff, art and history, and that's just how they came together. Like, the thing you thought of was them meeting in college, but in my thing, they actually met on the field. They actually met like being two historians. But yeah, I think. I mean, there's a logical explanation to it, and it's very, very much the fact that he works in a museum. But oh man, Jalon the Roll that goes around and I mean, I expected him to come back eventually, but just not like that. Oh my god! Of course he's gonna be the one actively pestering Solaric about that.
Also, I'm pretty sure this is the first time since like the session on the train that Amia has appeared in any amount. So it's been like 8 or 9 sessions since we've seen or heard from her. So there's another character who's making a reappearance in Dia's head.
Yeah.
So changing the topic a little bit. As of this recording, I had just almost unfinished posting the Back to the Future Halloween special. Yeah. And there was a question about what would have happened if you failed to go through the mass relay. And now that you've met Kassaj, I can tell you what would have happened. Ooh. So it would have been a totally different experience. One, of course, you would have ended up in Irun. Instead, you would have ended up lost in the galaxy somewhere. It's way too far for you, even at several light years speed, way too far away for you guys to be able to make it to any like viable system or mass relay. So a bunch of time jumps. The session would be about a bunch of time jumps as you start to run out of food and water and resources. And the entire session would have been a very stressful, all right, you're starving, you guys are slowly dying because you don't have anything left to keep you guys alive. Any hope of you surviving this is next to nil. So we would have been able to like find out what you guys would have done, knowing that you probably are never going to see your loved ones anymore and you're dying. And then there would be a question about, well, when you're that desperate for food.
So would you actually roleplay us killing each other to eat?
So knowing that, well, one of the things I thought of
Nathan
is
has the most meat.
Well, in all seriousness, Vorcha have been known
Yeah.
to be cannibalistic. So
They
I
really
love
played it
Zajeri very dearly, but there probably would have been a moment when she's getting a little
Yeah.
tempted.
What I was thinking about it, and I was honestly thinking it when you mentioned that we would have been lost in space. I have thought about it because I read a lot about Solarian biology, and I'm crazy all about it. And with the speed their metabolism has, they cannot live more than 3 days without food. So yeah, Vito would have felt like really freaking bad having to eat still without dying because everyone's rationing and Vito is gonna die without 3 days worth of food.
So that session would have been a really interesting psychological session, just to forcing you guys to roleplay seriously what your characters honestly would do in a very desperate situation, and how far would you go to survive.
Would you have put away for us to get back?
So ultimately, what would have happened is I would have. I'm not gonna lie. It would have been possible for one of you to die. Like, not gonna lie, because realistically, one of you might have starved to death before you get rescued, and so I don't know. Like, I probably would have had you make some rolls to you would have to make 3 successes before you make 3 failures in order to not starve to death, and then we would have had to deal with what would happen if your character died. But regardless of whether or not you all survived, eventually Kasaj will have found you and essentially would have had a way to rescue you and take you back to the mass relay in Thessia, and we would have picked up the story from there.
Okay.
So it would have been completely different. I would not have given you an opportunity again to reach Irune, so Irune would not have been saved, and Kasaj would be able to data dump at you the data dump that he gave today, and then then the campaign would have continued. So you would never have met.
Augie.
I'm sorry?
Augie. Wouldn't have
You would never have met Augie. You would never have met.
Nilu.
I'm sorry?
Nilu.
Nilu would have been stuck. And Koalin's parents, you would never have met. Yeah, you would never have met Koalin's parents. None of that stuff would have happened. Completely
I love
different.
Koali's parents.
Yeah.
Koali.
Quali.
You would never have gotten to his diary.
I know, that was so much fun.
So both would have been cool. Both the session you ended up with and the one that you didn't do would have been interesting. But
Honestly, I kind of want to write up
what would
my idea of what would have happened.
What would have
I honestly
happened?
want to have people roll and see.
Are you kidding? Vito would be dead within the first day.
Honestly,
Let's be
yeah.
real.
I mean, I am very honest there with so the way Solarian biology works, he would not have survived starvation. So yeah.
Well, you're part
Let's-
human too, so
Yeah.
yeah.
There
Gimmick
are
would have been
limits to that.
fine.
Yeah, give
No.
Yeah, Gimmick would have.
yeah, would have ripped me apart like in the first 5 minutes. I would be there. Like
I think Dia
Well-
would definitely be in trouble.
I don't know about Nathan. I don't know what Nathan would have done.
She's the only dextro person on board. So technically, you have more food resources than we did.
Yeah.
So
Well, unless
Yeah, because you don't have to share.
that's
Yeah.
true. Unless people get very desperate.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we ate any of your food, we would probably have an allergic reaction, which would have probably killed us anyway. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
because
Well, like-
it's either you have anaphylactic shock or you are able to basically just evacuate the food without having nutrients. So even if you were to eat dextro food or amino food,
it goes through all the way.
it goes through all the way. You don't get the nutrients from it, so it's like just eating paper.
I don't know how Nathan would have handled it. Then again, he was used to the whole, rationing and starvation and constantly being on edge about food. So, I'd say him and Zajeri would be the people who would be more used to that because Sajari also
Right.
kind of grew up on the streets and all that. So
Especially if Sajari
know.
starts eating you all.
I mean, once Sajari starts eating people is when we.
Well, Zajari
Well,
does
like-
look like an alien, like the alien, the xenomorph.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, had Vito died first, sadly, I don't think, since we know frog legs aren't all that nourishing, sadly, that would not have helped.
So I have a
Yeah.
big question, Hark. How
Yes.
many of us have secret plot twists?
All of us.
We all do.
Well, you all have. I think all of you have been getting them throughout. How many are left for you guys?
Yes, that's.
I don't think
I-
Nathan has had any secret blood twists so far.
Yeah.
Nathan
'cause-
has one. Nathan definitely still has one.
I don't even think Dia had one. Yeah.
Dia, well,
Besides
Dia
the
has
whole
had
Alan
stuff
thing.
with a lot of Dia's with Alan. A lot of Dia's with Alan.
So we are about to
Um,
get to your part of the story.
Basically. Or
Yeah.
gimmicks.
I'm fairly
Or both.
certain. I'm fairly certain.
Gimmick
all
has
three of
one.
mine-
Gimmick has one. Oh shit.
Gimmick has one. We just, with Vito, we just revealed a big one with the stasis capsule. That was one related to,
Yeah.
indirectly, but still related to Vito. And there's another one based on the success of finding out the Shias being able to find out the favor for Vito.
Yeah.
So, Dia, there's another possible one, but it depends on how things play out.
Can I ask something about the favor? Had Vito not, searched when to ask Shias and the Shadow Broker about it, would there have been a way to find out that Vito would have found out?
Very good question. If you had not asked Shias about it, there would have been another opportunity later.
Oh, yeah.
You would have been given another opportunity to find that information, but I can't tell you what that would be, because that would spoil
Okay.
something.
Maybe when that
So-
happens in the vlog, you can tell me later on. Like,
Yeah.
or, yeah, when that window of opportunity happens.
Yes. Dia does have, well, there definitely is going to be more Dia-centric stuff happening. You could call it twisty, but a lot of it has to do with the nightmares that she's having now.
I had
So a
feeling.
lot of it's that's yeah. So I guess that technically can be thought of as a twisty thing.
Okay, that's-
Um,
No, I'm just curious because I want to see who else is gonna cry in this session.
Oh.
in
I'm
this
also.
campaign. I'm betting on it's either going to be Nathan or Gimmick.
Yeah, Gimmick's twist is. I think you'll like it. I think you'll
Yeah,
like it.
I like everything you did until now. Yeah, it's really fun.
I'm
Gimmick's
also really
twist-
wondering if eventually, if you ask us to roll con saves again, if Nathan fails worse, if he gets the nightmares too.
Maybe.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Roll really low and find out.
Can we establish like the sleeping schedule? Then
Probably.
If you want to.
Vito needs less than 1 hour, or is it? I think it's 1 or 2 hour per night. So, I mean, technically Vito can be awake. As long as he sleeps during the day, he can be awake all night for you. Or anyone, so.
Fair.
Anything else before we close?
I wanted to say, I don't know if I misunderstood or something, but does the Angera don't know about the cat, right? Because they said that they were the only one intelligent life in their universe.
So you have to remember that in the game, when you guys go to Andromeda,
600 years in the future.
that's in the future. Many, 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 many years in the future.
So they traveled
So-
here a lot of time ago.
Yeah, they traveled
Jal,
if it took us 600 years to go to Andromeda, it took them 600 years to go here. And if I've been replaying the start of Mass Effect Andromeda with my cousin, and sorry
well,
for the
Jal does not exist, won't exist for another 600 years. So all of that stuff is way in the future.
Yeah.
So
You
the cat are
said
still
The remnants, the remnant stuff / the cat stuff happened during the
Later.
600 years travel. So technically, while these
Yes.
Angara were moving towards us, that stuff happened.
the cat.
Ooh, what if this whole these nightmares are like remnant related?
That's a little far, though.
The cat, if you in the game, I believe was the Ungaran's first experience with first contact with other
Yeah,
species.
they mentioned that. Yeah.
Because they were very welcoming to the cat, and then they got screwed for it. So that was their first impression of first contact. So these Ungarans did not experience that. One thing, though, that I do need to point out is that they explained to you that their scientists witnessed all this activity of the dark energy happening 10 years ago, not 600 some years ago.
Yeah, I was about
So-
to mention that.
They got here and they had been observing this for the last 10 years, and then recently, within the last few months, arrived here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
So
as
their
well.
So-
traveling speed is faster than.
How did they arrive here in less than 600 years?
Oh.
Nobody asked.
So question.
Wait,
is light
wait.
energy
They mentioned.
consistent?
He mentioned like technology similar to our mass relays. That's what they used to move here, right? They use technology similar
Well-
to our mass relays. That's what he said.
How could have been able to save us if we got stranded in space? Maybe that's the technology that you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, maybe we'd have found out then.
So
But we
maybe
didn't.
it's this new light energy thing, considering it's not like dark energy, right?
Yeah, so light energy or dark matter and light energy or light matter is actually not something I made up. There are theories about dark matter and even, I think, light matter as well, if you search for it. So those are all based on actual theories that scientists have been having for some time, which I thought was really interesting. And that's a lot of what I based the main plot of this campaign around.
Oh. You said something about that we are reaching a point where everything is about to change, or something like that, at the start of this session. Like, we are reaching a turning point in the campaign.
Yeah, well, a bunch of things happened today. So you found out about... So the whole dark matter thing, that's kind of the main plot now.
Yeah.
The dark matter thing, issue, all that stuff. Other things are happening in rapid fire, like all of the stuff going on with the biotics and the nightmares. That's a big turning point, and it's just going to continue, hopefully, piling on from there.
I still
So you're
expect
getting
Cthulhu.
to the answer. You're getting to the answer.
I still think Cthulhu is going to show up in one of these nightmares that we're going to have. Cthulhu is going to show up with all his tentacle glory.
Actually, Hark, I have a question for you since you've now confirmed that the Ket aren't in this galaxy,
They are not.
which is something I actually wanted to ask you. What did you think of my theory last week about the Angara? The Ket and the Angara arrived here escaping from Andromeda, and the Ket followed the Angara.
Oh, I
and,
loved it. I love the idea. I love that. And I had thought about involving the Ket for this campaign, but I was trying to
Keep it simple.
I was trying not to rehash. Well, I was trying not to rehash the plot of Andromeda and move it to the Milky Way. I wasn't because I already moved the Ungarans here, and I didn't want to necessarily do a retelling of Andromeda, but in the Milky Way galaxy.
You
So
didn't want to
that's
bring
why
everything from there over to here.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I tried to come up with something that was less about Mass Effect Andromeda and more about what the writers originally wrote for the main ending of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Whole
dark energy sequence, Sun and Haestrom, all that stuff.
The dark energy. Yeah, the original ending to Mass Effect 3 about why the Reapers came here. It wasn't supposed to originally be about oh, because synthetics, organics, and all that stuff. No, it's because when civilization reaches a certain point in their technology, they're releasing all this dark energy, and that causes like the collapse of the universe. And so I was trying to revisit the writer's original concept of the Mass Effect plot.
That's cool.
Well, about that, because the Reapers were trying to stop that from happening. So the theory I have is that somehow someone wants that to happen, because I mean, people that you said something when you were lumping the information about people's biotics being able to generate this energy and this matter on their own. So what I was thinking is maybe they got abducted to generate this matter to accelerate this process of destruction for some reason. I don't know. maybe not.
This proves really interesting for the future.
The plot thickens.
What you mean is Nathan and me are really fucked.
Yep.
Yep.
The last thing I will say is because you're gonna notice it, so there's no reason for me to hide it from you. But the last thing I will say is that you will start seeing in the invites, the calendar invites for either the next session or the session after, to include Nell and Malik.
Oh,
because
nice.
Yay!
because Aya and Lun are currently living on Ilium. So you might see them next session or the session after.
Ooh.
Which will be very interesting.
Because like we might like, I don't think that Vito wants to go back to the Citadel to talk to Solaric face to face. I think he probably will just call him. Maybe.
Well,
I
he
don't know.
doesn't know about it just yet.
Yeah, that's true. But
That's
that's what I think. My answer. That's what I think. My understanding of Vito. I think he would just call him because it'd just be easier. You know, it's more convenient.
true, but especially for important things, and now that he has the possibility to go back, because when he first called, they were like on short notice. They had no choice but to go quickly, and they couldn't like really spare the time to go back to the Citadel to like tell him in person, "Hey, I might not be fully Solarian."
Well,
That well, I forgot what I was trying to say.
oh yeah. About going there or just saying
Yeah,
it on the phone.
Yeah, Vito. I think Vito understands that Solaric values like contact, I guess, is how it's about to say. And there's like I know I always go back to the lore, but I read a lot on Solarians to be able to play Vito correctly. And there's a saying that Solarians use, which is I need to hear you with my real ears,
Oh.
which they use when they talk on the phone. When Solarians actually like answer the phone, they when they call someone, the first thing they say is "Don't hang up," because for some reason in etymology or what's the studies of language, or
Yeah.
Linguism,
that kind of-
linguistics.
linguistics, because it's an actual banter you can hear on Noveria, that the guy on the phone actually explains to someone why they say that. They say "Don't hang up" because Solarians believe that you're disturbing the silence when you're disturbing the other person when you call them on the phone. And if a Solarian answers the phone, they're gonna answer "I listen" to the "Don't hang up." So that's an interesting thing. So I feel like Vito really values like hearing people, with his real ears. So telling news in person sounds more personal, less
Well,
You might not get the opportunity though.
Yeah.
So,
That's...
what if the way you found out about this is not that reliable?
Yeah. What if the way I found out about? Oh, yeah. Because if I went all the way there and to talk about Solaric about that, and then Solaric's like, "What the hell are you on about? I don't have any Prothean." So that would be, well, I mean, he's probably, if he didn't tell Vito, he's probably not gonna tell him, well, maybe he would. I don't really know what went through Solaric's head.
Maybe it's not really a secret. It's just that you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he probably would have told him. Had he wanted, because they tell each other everything, don't they?
Vito finds out that Solaric has been having an affair with a Prothean this whole time.
He was having an affair with Javik the whole time.
With Javik.
Oh, no.
The avatar of love.
No. But yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen with that. But one thing I'm happy that I was able to, slip in is even if it was kind of not all that there, it's kind of, I can't find the right words for it. Hold on. Hinted, I guess, was Vito's meltdown at the start, and hinted that might have some issues coming from all the way back then, because he does mention, what do you see, my colleagues? Because I don't know if it's going to be relevant, if it's ever going to be relevant again, so I might as well mention it here. And Vito suffered super scatatonia and rather severe hallucinations during the bouts of catatonia he had in between when they were stuck in the temple and a few weeks after they got out. And I get the feeling that when Vito's under great
Pressure.
deals, under a lot of pressure and great deals of stress, it might come back, like just freezing up and seizing up and just seeing at the corner of your eye, just like he was back down there. And yeah, I was glad I was able to put it in, and like hoping that I get to do something with that later on.
Well, you would have done a lot with that if we went, if we didn't end up where we wanted when we did the champ, because we would have been out of food and all of that. So.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the ship with no food, the ship feeling smaller and smaller all of a sudden. That definitely, that Vito would definitely have been not good. And also, like, I was planning on having that meltdown in particular happen on Tuchanka in the temple, but everything went so well that, I mean, Vito had no reason to freak out. So,
I mean, it was one of those moments where everything lines up, right? At the exact moment, and we got it just right.
Yep,
except
right.
for one thing, a really important thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, everything went rather well in that temple, so Vito didn't have to freak out then.